Garogleanian tribe people were actually known for their honesty. Stealing a horse for a ride was not the same as stealing money. When John Byrow informs that his horse was stolen and was untraceable, Uncle Khusro gets irritated. Had they not been from Garogleanian tribe, then John Byrow would have gone and complained to the concerned authority that this horse is stolen. Hello everyone. A very warm welcome to all the young minds of Class 11 CBSE. I am Dr. Shalini here, your English teacher at Prep School. Today we are here to understand one of the wonderful stories that's from your snapshots, that is the summer of the beautiful white horse. So this is a very interesting lesson for you children. Concentrate more to avoid the doubts. Let us see what is there in today's session. We are going to understand about the author first, then the theme of the story. We'll understand the characters, then we'll move on to the summary of the lesson. We'll start with the introduction of the author. William Saroyan is the author of this story and he is an Armenian-American story writer. He is from Armenia, based in Armenia, but he was an American novelist. He was a very famous playwright, a great short story writer, all these. So he was also awarded the Pulitzer Prize for his drama. He also wrote extensively about the Armenian immigrants in California. He was there in America from Armenia, so he wrote mostly about that. Many of his stories and plays are set in his native Fresno. So this is a place. His native was Fresno in Armenia and he has written mostly, the setting of his plays are mostly from that Fresno only. Some of his best known works are The Time of Your Life, My Name is Aram and My Heart's in the Highlands. So these are the famous works of his. So now we'll move on to the theme of the story. So here the story is about two Armenian boys. So here also he speaks about Armenian boys only. So two Armenian boys who are fond of riding horses. They belong to Garogleanian tribe. So this is a tribe in Armenia which is known for honesty. Okay, so they belong to that tribe. Maurad steals a horse. So this is one of the characters. Enjoys riding it, invites his cousin Aram also, and finally they decide to return it to the owner. So this is the storyline that you are going to read. Okay, so let us move on to the characters now. Aram is one of the characters. Aram is a 9-year-old boy and both of these, that is Aram and Maurad, both belong to that clan only, Garogleanian tribe. So he is a 9-year-old boy and he is the narrator of this story. He justifies Maurad's stealing of this horse as the purpose of riding and not for selling, so it is not cheating. Garogleanian tribe people were actually known for their honesty. They were known for not cheating and also they were very honest. So here they steal a horse. Okay, Maurad steals a horse and he brings to Arman to ride it. So he somehow has to justify within himself that this horse is not for selling, so it doesn't count under cheating. So he justifies that because it's only for the purpose of horse riding and not for selling. So it doesn't come under cheating. So that is one of the characters. The next character is Maurad. Maurad is a 13-year-old cousin of Aram. Okay, so a lively and a crazy person, loves his cousin Aram, and hence he offers to ride the horse. He knows how to handle a horse. So he always keeps telling, I have a way with it, I have a way with it. Okay, that shows how he knows how to handle the situation. So that is Maurad. The next character is John Byrow. John Byrow is a farmer who is in this place. He was the owner of a beautiful white horse that was stolen by Maurad. Okay, then Uncle Khusro. Uncle Khusro is one of the persons there. He also belonged to this Garogleanian tribe only. So he is the narrator's uncle, that is Aram's uncle. Considered a crazy man with a short temper. He was very short tempered and he was irritable in nature. He was actually scolding for everything, each and everything there. Okay, so he was talking like that and he is supposed to be a person who has an irritable nature. Then we'll now start with the summary. Here again I have divided the story into various stages wherein you will be understanding it better. Okay, so the first stage is that the opening scene, that is Aram and the white horse. So how Aram and white horse are related is what we are going to understand. When the story opens, Aram is a 9-year-old boy and Maurad, his cousin, so everyone calls Maurad as crazy. Okay, so he is supposed to have inherited the properties from his uncle Khusrov. Okay, he's also crazy and this person is also crazy. So what he does, he comes early in the morning at 4 o'clock, that is during the dawn, and he comes and he wakes Aram up. So Maurad brings a horse and he comes early in the morning at 4 o'clock and just taps the window of Aram and he wakes him up. Okay, so taps at the window of his room and Aram wakes up. Aram just looks out of the window. What is happening? So Aram could not believe his eyes at all. What is there? Maurad is standing with a beautiful white horse there. So he offers a ride also. So now Maurad is already on the horse. He comes there, he taps the window of Aram's room and he just asks Aram to get out and he tells him, just come out of the window, get onto the horse. I am going to offer you a ride. Okay, so both of them are very fond of horses, but this tribe was very poor. Okay, Garoglinian tribe was actually very poor, so they could not afford a horse. They could not afford for a horse, so they take this step. Fine. So Aram always longed to ride on a horse. So Aram was a person who always wanted to ride on a horse. Maurad just starts it as he just wanted to give it a try. Since he knew Aram always loved to ride a horse and since he loved his cousin, he brings the horse to Aram there. But Aram always longed to ride on a horse, but since they belonged to this Garoglanian family, they were very honest. At the same time, they were very poor also. They could not afford a horse. Okay, as I told you before, they were poor. They were not able to afford a horse. So that's the reason they could not ride a horse only. Okay, so they belong to Garoglanian tribe. So this is very important that you have to keep in your mind. Okay, so the whole tribe was poverty stricken. So they were all poor. Everybody in that tribe was actually very poor and could not afford a horse, as I told you before. So the clan was famous for being honest. So their honesty and never took advantage of anyone. So they never took anybody else as an advantage and they did their work. Okay, in order to get their things done, they did not take anybody as an advantage. Aram asked Maurad if he had stolen the horse. Okay, so he just wanted to know because since they could not afford a horse, he wanted to know whether Maurad has gone in a right path to get the horse. So Aram asks him if Maurad has stolen the horse, but now Maurad doesn't give any answer over there. So he doesn't answer at all. He never got any answer. Not only now, later also when the horse was returned to the owner also, he asks him whether he had stolen the horse. So that time also Maurad doesn't give any answer. Just before when they were going to return the horse also, Maurad is asked that question by Aram, but Maurad doesn't give any answer for that. So this question remains unanswered, but Aram gets his answer. Okay, so now Aram, to console himself, thought that stealing a horse for a ride was not the same as stealing money. That means he is convincing himself. Okay, they were actually very famous for their honesty. He also wanted to convince himself that whatever they are doing is the correct one. Whatever they are doing is not wrong. Okay, so stealing money he considers different considered to that of stealing a horse. Okay, because stealing money is something wherein you use up the money, whereas stealing a horse is nothing like that. You are not selling it. Okay, the horse is not being sold here in order to get the money, and this horse is being used only to have a ride. Okay, so you are using that only to ride and you are not taking advantage of it. So that's the reason it doesn't come under cheating. Okay, so this was the intention and this is what he used to convince himself. So Aram could not resist at all. He jumped out of the window. So now he saw the horse, he was just staring, he was just looking at Maurad just going around in the horse. He could not resist, he just jumps out of the window to have a ride. So he joins Maurad. Now, they lived on the boundary town on Walnut Avenue. So this is a this is an area in which they were staying. So they were on the boundary, they were almost in the outskirts of that city. They both were having a wonderful time riding the horse. There were lot of vineyards and all. Okay, so their growing grapes was the main occupation. So there were a lot of vineyards, means almost everybody owned a vineyard. So here also there were a lot of vineyards, and that was the place they were staying, and they just came out of that Walnut Avenue and they went for a ride near few other vineyards. Okay, so they were having a wonderful ride on that horse there. And remember, nobody has woken up, the whole town is still asleep, and they have gone on a ride. So Maurad was considered the natural inheritor of the crazy streak, that is because from Uncle Khusro, as it is here, before he was Uncle Khusro. Uncle Khusro was supposed to be one of the craziest persons in the Garoglanian tribe. So the same way he is also, Maurad is also crazy here. Okay, so first it was Uncle Khusro who had that place. Now it is Maurad. Maurad is ready to do anything for any matter. Okay, so now you can see they were actually longing to ride a horse. Now he has gone to the level of stealing also. Okay, now he has got a horse for himself. He was an enormous person. Now they're talking about Uncle Khusro. Okay, here he means Uncle Khusro. Okay, Uncle Khusro was an enormous person. He was huge built, having a powerful head of black hair. So he had black hair and the largest mustache in the Saint Jocelyn Valley. So this is one of the places here. Okay, so he had black hair and he had the largest mustache in the whole area. So for everything, he was very irritable. So whoever comes and tells something, so he never used to consider that. He was least bothered about that. He always used to condemn that. Okay, so that was the character of Uncle Khusro. So now Aram wants to ride the horse. So there was just a mention about Uncle Khusro there even in the story. Now here Aram now wants to ride the horse. Now all this time Maurad has been riding the horse. So Aram wanted to ride the horse. So what does he do? Maurad wanted to ride the horse alone. Okay, so he kicked the horse and it starts running. Now the way Maurad was riding the horse, it was like he was so used to the horse, means he might have stolen that horse very long time ago and he has been riding it from a long time. So here Maurad, since he wanted to ride the horse alone, he just wanted to show Aram how to ride a horse. So what he does, he just gets onto the horse and he kicked the horse. Okay, the place where there are a lot of muscles, that place he kicks and it starts running like a pro. Now looking at that, Aram also wanted to ride on the horse. Now Aram is a stranger to the horse. Okay, he doesn't know little about the horse, and also the horse is not used to Aram's riding. So since he wanted to ride the horse, he just gets on to the horse. So what Maurad does, the same thing he also does. He just gets on to the horse. The horse appears like it doesn't want to run at all. Now Maurad gives a tip to Aram. So he tells him to kick how he did. Okay, he tells him to kick where there are a lot of muscles. So now he kicked into the muscles of the horse like Maurad did before. Okay, he had already got a practical demo. Now he is going to try that. Okay, so now he also tries kicking the muscles of the horse. Now does the horse run? What does it do? The horse ran into the vineyard. It didn't want to run at all. He was like an amateur who is riding on the horse. So now the horse was not ready to take him on a ride. It actually took him on a ride. Okay, you take somebody for a ride means you just make their condition miserable. Okay. So it ran into the vineyard and leaped over 7 vines. Okay, so over 7 vines means it jumped the 7 vines. It actually jumped and dropped Aram down. So Aram is down on the ground there. He's just dropped on one of the vineyards, and that horse actually runs away. Maurad was too worried about it. Now what happens when it jumps 7 vines and goes? Maurad is left back. He was so worried about the horse. So he was not worried about Aram. He was worried about the horse actually, because it was a stolen horse. It has to go back to the owner, one thing. The second thing is nobody should know that they have stolen this horse, because this tribe is known for their honesty, isn't it? So now he didn't want to tell about that. So though he came running to get hold of the horse was lost. Finally, they lost the horse now. They don't know where the horse went only. Aram is dropped on one vine and it runs away somewhere. Now the horse is not with them. They go in search of this horse. Both of them, they search for almost half an hour. Remember, it is early in the morning, probably it may be 5 o'clock by now, because they have been riding for a long time and now it is half an hour that they have been searching for the horse. Okay, so they search for half an hour and finally they find the horse. They find the horse in one of the not used vineyards, you can say. Okay, so one such place they find the horse. Now, what do? They decide to hide the horse until the next morning, because by the time they could take it back to the place from where they brought it, it would have been a very long time. Means people would have been woken up and they would have noticed it. So they didn't want to take it back to the place where they brought it. So they decide to hide the horse somewhere in a nearby place. Maura tells Aram to tell everyone they were riding the horse that morning only if anyone would ask him. So now Maurad had a doubt that somebody might have seen them riding the horse, or maybe somebody might have seen Aram being dropped on a vineyard when they were going on a ride. So he had a doubt. So what he tells Aram to tell everybody that they have been riding the horse only from that morning. Okay, so they decide to hide the horse till next morning. By then, when they were going to hide, so that time Maura tells Aram this tip, okay, not to let anybody know that they have been riding horse from a long time. But that was the time when Aram comes to know that he has been riding the horse from 1 month. Okay, so he gets a doubt that he might have been riding it from a long time. Now, they took that horse to a deserted vineyard, means a vineyard which was not used at all, and hid it in the barn. So they hid that in a stable kind of thing. There was a barn there. So they hide the horse over there. They give grass and they come out. Next, John Byro comes there. John Byro's missing horse makes a news over here. So what happens here? Uncle Khusro visits Aram's house for coffee and cigarettes. So tobacco was being given as a kind of hospitality in that place, in that village. So there, when Uncle Khusro comes to Aram's house, so that time Aram's mom offers coffee and cigarette to Uncle Khusro. So there was another visitor at that time. John Byro also comes there. He was a farmer. He comes walking from almost 10 miles, he says. Okay, so Uncle Khusro condemns that. What is there in walking for 10 miles? That's okay, he says. But for John Byro, it was actually very tedious because he had to walk all the way. All these days, he was using a horse carriage. But Uncle Khusro says, now it is stolen, you just go and search, is what he says. He just doesn't bother about it. So immediately he gets angry. Okay, when John Byro informs that his horse was stolen and was untraceable, Uncle Khusro gets irritated. So he just scolds him and he just leaves the place. He just leaves the place with a bang. Okay, so he just bangs the door and he leaves the place. So Aram goes to Maurad and informs about John Byro visiting Uncle Khusro's house. He talks about whatever happened over there, what and all Uncle Khusro came to know about John Byro's horse. Okay, so all these things, whatever conversation happened there between Uncle Khusro and John Byro, Aram goes and tells Maurad. So Maurad was playing with a bird which had injured his wing of it. Okay, so the bird's wing was injured and Maurad was trying to repair it. So he was making it fly. So that time Aram goes there and tells him about this conversation. Then the boys decide to return the horse. Now, these boys try to decide to return. So how does this happen? Aram tells Maurad that he wants to learn riding horse and not to return the horse till he learns riding. So Aram requests Maurad not to return the horse immediately. Now Maurad tells this horse has to go back to the owner. But Aram says, no, I have not still ridden the horse. So you should not be returning it till I completely learn how to ride it. But Maurad doesn't like this idea of Aram's. So he rejects the offer, saying it takes a year for him to learn this riding. So do you think we can keep the horse for a year? We will be caught, he says. Okay, he doesn't say that we will be caught, but he intends to tell that. Okay, so his words actually mean that. So now it takes almost 1 year to learn riding, so we cannot keep it. So they decide to return the horse after 6 months. So 6 months was the time they decide to keep the horse for themselves. Now every morning what they used to do, they used to ride the horse. They rode the horse for almost 2 weeks. So it was 15 days. It was 6 months they decided, but it was only 2 weeks that they were starting to ride the horse. So every time it was happening the same. Maurad used to have a wonderful time, and always Aram would be thrown down and it would run away. Again they would go get the horse. So whatever happened in the first time with Aram, same thing was happening every day. So one day what happened, they ran into John Biro. Run into means, this phrase means it is to meet. Okay, I run into somebody means I meet somebody. Fine. So one day they ran into, so these two boys, they were coming with a horse. That time they met John Biro on the way. So while they were on their way to the vineyard, they wanted to hide the horse there. Every day they used to ride, they used to hide, and the next morning they used to ride again. So this is what they were doing. So now once when they were on the way to the vineyard, so that time they ran into John Biro. They met John Biro on the way. Now Aram was very scared, but Maurad was not scared. He told, I have a way to deal with the farmer, so I will do it. You don't worry, he says. Okay, he was least scared. Okay, he was not at all panic. So he tells he will speak to him. John Biro inquired about the horse which Maurad had. He just checks the teeth and all. Everything was literally the same. Okay, and this John Biro was so obsessed, like he was so very loving towards the horse, that he tells that it is almost the twin of his horse. He also asks the name of the horse. He says, Maurad says it is My Heart that he had named it. Okay, so he talks about the horse. He tells that the horse was a twin, everything he says. John Biro keeps on observing the horse very keenly. Okay, he went very nearby, he checked the teeth and all, he checked the tail, everything he observes very keenly. Now he also says that, John Biro says that he would swear it was his horse only if he did not know his parents. They did not belong to the Garoglanian family. They had so much of belief in that family. Okay, had they not been from Garoglanian tribe, then John Biro would have gone and complained to the concerned authority that this horse is stolen. Or had he not known their parents, okay, had he not known the parents of Aram and Maurad, then also he would have gone and complained, thinking these boys are street boys, and he would not have known that they belong to that tribe. Since they belong to that tribe and that tribe was known for that honesty, he said it would be the twin of this horse which he had. So John Biro, he himself gets convinced. He convinces himself by thinking that this horse is the twin of the stolen horse. He is not ready to accept that it is his own horse. That is only because of the news that was there everywhere, that Garoglanian tribe people are actually very honest. Okay, so he convinces himself. Now they decide to return the horse. Next day morning, the boys, now they go to the vineyard, they hide the horse there and they come back. Next morning, the boys took the horse and left it to John Biro's vineyard. So they just go there and leave it off. While they were going, there were many dogs also on the way. Aram was scared that these dogs might just bark and create a havoc, but it was not the case. They just took the horse there, left it in John Biro's place, that is the vineyard, and they just came back. The dogs were like, they behaved like they knew Aram and Maurad from a very long time. Okay, so Aram was surprised because of that also. So Maurad says, yes, I have a way with the dogs also. So he was telling all this because he wanted to say that he knew how to handle the situation. Okay, so they just dropped the horse there and they go. Now he was very happy and he also thanked God. He just goes back Uncle Khusro's place and he tells him that I have got my horse back. But Uncle Khusro doesn't praise that also. He doesn't feel happy about that also. He just gets irritated and he says, now don't talk about all those things. Your horse has come back. You have got it back. Then that's it. Finish the matter, he says. Okay. So this is the summary of the Summer of Beautiful White Horse. We have come to an end of this session. So time to wind it up. What I suggest you is watch the video, then go back and read the lesson. You will get to know minute details also. Please come prepared for the class. Let us meet again in our next session. Thank you for your time. Keep learning, children. Bye-bye. See you soon.